Have you ever wondered where it all began? Not just our tools or our fire, but our ability to organize, to follow, to lead. Imagine a time shrouded in the mists of prehistory, a world of raw survival. Among the chaos of the Stone Age, one voice rose not to command, but to guide. This is the story of how the very first leaders emerged, not as kings, but as keepers of their people. For millennia, our ancestors lived in small, nomadic groups. Life was a constant struggle against the elements, predators, and starvation. In this brutal reality, who do you think held the most sway? Naturally, it was the strongest. The best hunter, the bravest warrior. These were the individuals who often took charge during a crisis. If a saber-toothed cat stalked the camp, you didn't look to the storyteller. You looked to the person with the sharpest spear and the steadiest hand. This was leadership born of immediate necessity, a leadership of muscle and might. For a time, it worked. The strongest protected the group, led the hunt, and defended territory. The tribe survived because the strongest ensured it. But strength is a fleeting currency. A great hunter could be injured. A powerful warrior grows old. What happens when the strongest is no longer strong? The tribe would descend into chaos. A new, younger contender would challenge the old alpha, and the resulting conflict could tear the group apart, leaving them vulnerable. Our ancestors observed this cycle of rise and fall, of strength and inevitable weakness. They saw that relying solely on physical power was a gamble, and in the game of survival, you can't afford to lose. They started to realize that true, lasting survival required something more than just a strong arm. This is where a quiet revolution began. It wasn't a rebellion with spears, but a shift in thinking. Picture a harsh winter. The usual hunting grounds are barren. The strongest hunter, insistent on his old ways, leads his followers on a fruitless and exhausting chase, bringing back nothing. But then, an elder speaks up. She isn't the strongest, but she has seen many winters. She remembers a hidden valley, a different path her own grandmother showed her. She remembers which plants, though bitter, can be boiled to provide nourishment when game is scarce. The tribe is hesitant. Do they follow the familiar strength, or this new voice of wisdom? Some take the risk. They follow the elder, and they find the valley. They find the edible roots. They survive. This was the experiment. Slowly, tribe by tribe, our ancestors began to test a new hypothesis. Perhaps wisdom was a greater asset for survival than muscle. They started listening to the one who knew the seasons. The one who could track animals not with speed, but with knowledge of their habits. They turned to the one who could mediate a dispute not with a threat, but with a fair and calming word. They looked to the healer who understood which herbs could fight a fever. These individuals weren't necessarily the strongest or the fastest. Their power came from their minds, from their experience, from their ability to see the bigger picture. Leadership was transforming from a display of dominance into an act of service. The best guide, the most knowledgeable teacher, the calmest peacemaker, these were the new anchors for the tribe. Of course, this transition wasn't smooth. The old ways died hard. The concept of leadership was still new and fragile, and power, even the power of wisdom, can be a corrupting force. Imagine a leader who, praised for his knowledge, begins to hoard it. He shares his secrets only with a select few, creating an inner circle. He starts making decisions not for the good of the tribe, but for his own prestige. Suddenly, the unity that wisdom had built begins to crack. Factions form. Resentment simmers. The tribe, once bound by shared purpose, is now divided by jealousy and distrust. This was a critical failure, a painful lesson in human nature. They realized that a leader who isolates themselves or seeks power for power's sake is just as dangerous as a reckless strong man. The tribe learned the hard way that leadership requires a delicate balance between knowledge and humility, between authority and accountability. Through these trials of fire and failure, a new model of leadership was forged and finally mastered. It became something sacred, a responsibility, not a right. The leader was chosen not just for their skills, but for their character. They were expected to be generous, fair, and dedicated to the well-being of every single member of the tribe. In return, they weren't feared, they were respected. They were revered. This respect was a bond far stronger than fear could ever be. It created a stable, cohesive society where knowledge could be passed down through generations, where innovations could be shared, and where the tribe could thrive, not just survive. The leader became the heart of the community, the living repository of their collective wisdom, the focal point of their unity. Their authority came from the trust freely given by their people, and so our ancestors discovered a profound truth that echoes through the ages, a truth we still grapple with today. True leadership isn't about having power over people. It's about discovering a purpose with people. It's not about being the strongest, the loudest, or the most commanding. It's about being the wisest, the most caring, and the most committed to the common good. It's the understanding that a leader's true strength lies not in their own abilities, but in their ability to uplift everyone around them. The emergence of leaders brought order from chaos, creating the first stable communities. But what makes a community a home? What transforms a group of survivors into a family? The leaders formed order, but it was families that formed our roots. Join me next time as we explore one of the most fundamental pillars of human society, the birth of family. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next discovery. See you then.